The stars had always been silent to humanity. For thousands of years, people looked up at the night sky and wondered if they were alone. Then, on a cold morning in December, the silence ended. Ships appeared above every major city on Earth. They did not attack. They did not speak. They simply waited. 3 days later, the message came. The galactic hegemony had ruled the known universe for 10,000 cycles. They had watched Earth grow from primitive tribes to a spacefaring civilization. Now, humanity had reached the threshold. They were ready to join the interstellar community, or they were ready to be conquered. The choice, according to ancient law, would be decided by combat. Queen of the Empire would serve as the hegemony's champion. She had never lost a challenge duel in 400 attempts. She had crushed warriors from 100 different species. She had broken generals, destroyed champions, and humiliated every creature foolish enough to face her. Now, she waited in orbit above Earth, and she was growing impatient. The United Nations Emergency Council met in a bunker beneath Geneva. Representatives from every nation argued and shouted and blamed each other for things that did not matter. Finally, they agreed on one thing: Earth needed champions. The best fighters humanity had to offer would face the alien queen. If they won, Earth would join the hegemony as equals. If they lost, Earth would become a slave world, its people serving alien masters for the next 1,000 years. General Park was the first to volunteer. He was 62 years old, but his body was still strong. He had fought in 3 wars and won them all. He had studied every martial art known to humanity. He had trained soldiers who went on to become legends. When he walked into the arena on the flagship, he believed he had a chance. He was wrong. Queen stood 9 feet tall. Her skin was the color of obsidian, smooth and hard like polished stone. She had 4 arms, each one thick with muscle. Her eyes, all 4 of them, glowed with a soft purple light. She wore no armor, only a simple robe of black silk. She did not carry a weapon because she did not need one. The general attacked first. He had studied footage of warriors. He knew their weak points, their blind spots, their vulnerabilities. He moved with precision and speed, striking at the joints where their armor was weakest. But was not wearing armor, and she was not like other warriors. She moved before he did. Every punch he threw, she blocked. Every kick he attempted, she dodged. It was like fighting smoke. No matter how fast the general moved, she was faster. No matter how clever his tactics, she anticipated them. "You think before you act," said, catching his fist in one massive hand. "I see your thoughts forming. I know your movements before you make them." She broke his arm with a simple twist, then his leg, then his other arm. The general fell to the ground, unable to move, unable to fight. The match was over in 4 minutes. Bae was next. He was the greatest wrestler in Korean history, undefeated in 3 weight classes. He stood 6'5" and weighed nearly 130 kilograms of pure muscle. He had never met an opponent he could not overpower. Lifted him off the ground with 2 arms and held him there like a child holding a toy. He struggled, kicked, tried every escape technique he knew. She watched him with something like amusement. "Strength," she said. "Your species values strength, but you do not understand what strength truly means." She threw him across the arena. He hit the wall hard enough to crack the metal. He did not get up. The match was over in 2 minutes. Carried the sword of his ancestors. 7 generations of his family had practiced the same style, perfecting it, passing it down from father to son. He was the greatest swordsman in Asia, perhaps in the world. His blade moved so fast that cameras could not capture it. Caught the blade between 2 fingers. "Beautiful," she said, examining the steel. "Your people make beautiful things, but beauty does not win battles." She snapped the blade in half. Then she defeated him with a single strike to the chest. He fell, gasping for air, unable to rise. The match was over in 90 seconds. The Queen addressed the cameras that broadcast her message to every screen on Earth. "I am disappointed," she said. I had heard stories of human warriors. I had heard that your species was fierce, unpredictable, dangerous. But I see only weakness. I see creatures who fight with their bodies instead of their minds. I see animals pretending to be warriors." She smiled, revealing teeth like black diamonds. "You have 1 week to present your final champion. Choose wisely. If this champion falls, your world belongs to me, and I promise you I will not be gentle." The broadcast ended. Earth fell into despair. In Seoul, in a small apartment on the 15th floor of a building that had seen better days, a young woman named watched the broadcast on her laptop. She was eating cheap instant noodles that she had made on her single-burner stove. The apartment was messy. Clothes were piled on the floor. Energy drink cans covered every surface. Multiple computer monitors glowed in the darkness. Was 23 years old. She was short, barely 5'2", and thin in a way that suggested she forgot to eat regular meals. Her hair was black, cut short because long hair got in the way of her headphones. Her eyes were sharp, constantly moving, taking in details that others missed. She had been a professional gamer for 6 years. Not the famous kind who won millions and appeared on talk shows. The other kind. The kind who studied opponents for hours, who memorized patterns, who found exploits that no one else could see. She had won tournaments not because she was the fastest or the strongest, but because she understood how people thought. She watched the footage of the Queen's victories again, then a third time. She slowed it down, frame by frame, studying every movement. "There," she whispered. She saw it. A tiny shift in the Queen's third shoulder, barely visible, happening exactly 0.3 seconds before every right-side attack. A pattern. The Queen had a pattern. She watched more footage, hours of it, recordings from other challenge duels, broadcasts from entertainment channels, anything she could find. And she saw more patterns. The Queen was predictable. Not obviously, not in ways that a normal fighter would notice, but predictable. More importantly, notice something else. The Queen only fought warriors, people who moved with intention, who telegraphed their attacks, who thought about what they were going to do before they did it. The Queen's precognition was not magic. It was prediction. She read body language, micro-expressions, muscle tension. She knew what her opponents would do because she could see them deciding to do it. Smiled, it was not a nice smile. She picked up her phone and dialed the emergency number that was scrolling across the bottom of every news broadcast. The line was busy. She tried again. Still busy. She tried 47 more times before someone answered. "United Nations Emergency Response," said a tired voice. "How can I direct your call?" "I want to fight the Queen," said. There was a long pause. "I am sorry," the voice said. "This line is for serious inquiries only." "I am serious," replied. "I know how to beat her. I have seen her patterns. She is predictable, and I know how to exploit predictable opponents. I have done it my whole life." Another pause. "What are your qualifications?" "I was ranked 14th in the world in II, said. "I have won 16 regional tournaments in 3 different games. I have studied competitive strategy for 10 years, and I have spent the last 6 hours analyzing every fight the Queen has ever had." "That is not exactly military experience." "Your military experience lasted 4 minutes, said. "Maybe it is time to try something different." She heard typing on the other end of the line. Then a different voice came on, older, more authoritative. "This is Director," the voice said. "Tell me more about these patterns you have found." Told him. She talked for an hour. When she finished, the line was silent for a long time. "Miss," the director finally said, "can you be in Geneva by tomorrow morning?" Looked around her messy apartment. She had no money, no clean clothes, and no idea how she would get to Geneva. "Yes," she said, "I will be there." She hung up the phone and started packing. She did not know if she would survive the week. She did not know if her plan would work. But she knew one thing for certain. She was going to fight an alien queen and she was going to win. Or she was going to die trying. The flight to Geneva took 14 hours. Slept for most of it, her head pressed against the cold window of the military transport plane. She dreamed of patterns, shapes moving in the darkness. A giant figure with 4 arms, always one step ahead, always waiting. She woke when the plane touched down. A soldier escorted her to a black car, and the car took her through streets that were empty and quiet. The whole city felt like it was holding its breath. People stayed inside their homes, watching news broadcasts, waiting to learn their fate. The selection committee met in a conference room deep beneath the United Nations headquarters. 12 people sat around a long table. Generals, scientists, politicians. They all looked tired. They all looked scared. Director sat at the head of the table. He was a small man with gray hair and glasses that made his eyes look too large for his face. He had spent 30 years working in military intelligence. He had seen impossible situations before, but he had never seen anything like this. "Miss," he said when entered the room, "please sit down." Sat, the chair was too big for her. She felt like a child at the adult table. The people around her looked at her with expressions that ranged from confusion to disbelief to outright mockery. A large man in a military uniform spoke first. His name tag said General. "This is a joke," he said. "We are facing extinction, and you bring me a girl who plays video games." "I did not bring her," Director said calmly. "She called us." "Even worse." The general slammed his hand on the table. "Our champions were the best fighters on Earth, real warriors, men who trained their whole lives for combat, and they lost. What makes you think this child will do any better?" Did not flinch. She had faced angry men before. In gaming tournaments, in online forums, in every space where a young woman dared to compete with men. She had learned to ignore the noise and focus on what mattered. "General Park attacked the Queen 17 times in 4 minutes, she said. Her voice was quiet but clear. "Every attack failed. Do you know why?" The general's face turned red. "Because she is faster, stronger. She has abilities we cannot match." "No," pulled a small device from her pocket and projected a hologram above the table. It showed the general's fight, slowed down to 1/10 speed. "Watch her eyes. She is not reacting to his attacks. She is anticipating them. She moves before he does, every single time." The room fell silent. "They have a form of precognition," continued. "But it is not magic. It is not seeing the future. It is prediction based on observation. They read micro-expressions, muscle tension, eye movement. They see what you are going to do because they see you deciding to do it." She switched to a different clip. "Here. The Queen's third shoulder drops 0.3 seconds before every right-side attack. Her pupils dilate when she is about to use her lower arms. Her breathing changes when she shifts from defense to offense. She has patterns. 17 distinct attack patterns that she cycles through based on her opponent's positioning." Director leaned forward. "You found all of this in 6 hours of footage analysis." "I have been finding patterns my whole life," said. "It is what I do. In gaming, we call it reading your opponent. Every player has habits. Every player has tells. The best players are the ones who can see these things and exploit them." General shook his head. "Even if you can predict her attacks, you cannot possibly match her physically. She is 3 times your size. One hit and you are dead." "Then I will not get hit." The general laughed. It was not a kind laugh. "You think you can dodge an alien warrior who has killed champions from 100 species. I think I can do something none of those champions ever tried." Changed the hologram again. Now it showed a diagram of human brain activity. The Queen reads intention. She predicts what her opponents will do by watching them decide. But what happens if her opponent does not decide? A scientist at the end of the table spoke up. Her name was Doctor, and she specialized in neurology. "What do you mean?" "In competitive gaming, there is a technique called option select. explained. Instead of choosing one action and committing to it, you input multiple possible actions at the same time. The game's code determines which one actually happens based on the situation. The player does not decide. The system decides. She tapped her head. I have trained myself to do this in real life. I can move without deciding where I am going. I let probability choose. My body reacts before my conscious mind makes a decision. It is not perfect, but it creates noise, interference. My movements become random. Doctor's eyes widened. You have essentially learned to bypass your own decision-making process. Parts of it, enough to be unpredictable. The room was silent for a long moment. Then General spoke again, but his voice had changed. The mockery was gone, replaced by something that might have been curiosity. Even if you can avoid her attacks, you cannot win by running. The right of dominion requires a decisive victory, death or complete incapacitation. Smiled. It was the same smile she had worn in her apartment watching the footage. Not nice, not friendly, the smile of someone who had found an exploit. Have you read the full rules of the right? She asked. Director frowned. The relevant sections, yes. What about clause 447? The director pulled up a document on his tablet and scrolled through it. His frown deepened. This clause deals with time limits. Read it out loud. He cleared his throat. If neither combatant achieves victory within one standard hegemony cycle, the challenge is declared void, and the defending party retains sovereignty. He looked up. One standard cycle is approximately 24 Earth hours. 24 hours and 17 minutes, corrected. And in 400 challenge duels, the Queen has never fought for more than 3 hours. Most of her fights end in minutes. She has never needed to worry about the time limit because no one has ever survived long enough to make it relevant. General stared at her. You want to fight an alien killing machine for 24 hours straight, without getting hit, while bleeding and exhausted. I want to survive for 24 hours, said. There is a difference. I do not need to beat her. I do not need to hurt her. I just need to not lose. And I am very, very good at not losing. The committee members looked at each other. Some of them still seemed skeptical. Others looked thoughtful. Doctor was actually smiling. Director rubbed his temples. Miss, do you understand what you are proposing? If you enter that arena and fail, you will die. There is no mercy, no surrender, no second chances. I understand. And you believe you can survive for 24 hours against the greatest warrior in the known galaxy. Thought about all the tournaments she had entered, all the matches she had won against opponents who were faster, more experienced, better funded. She thought about the countless hours she had spent studying, practicing, finding the small advantages that added up to victory. I have been preparing for this my whole life, she said. I just did not know it until now. The room fell silent again. The committee members whispered to each other. Arguments broke out, quiet and fierce. Waited. Finally, Director raised his hand for silence. We have no other candidates, he said. Our best warriors have already fallen. The deadline is in 6 days. Even if we found another fighter, there would be no time to prepare them. He looked at. His eyes were tired, but there was something else in them. Something that might have been hope. Miss, the committee has decided to accept your proposal. You will represent Earth in the final challenge duel. May whatever gods exist have mercy on us all. Nodded. She did not believe in gods. She believed in patterns, probability, and the power of preparation. I will need access to all available footage of combat, she said. Historical records, training videos, anything you can find. I will also need a large empty room, several sparring partners, and approximately 200 energy drinks. General blinked. Energy drinks. I am going to be awake for the next 6 days, said. I have a lot of studying to do. She stood up and walked toward the door. At the threshold, she paused and looked back. One more thing, she said. I want everything you know about Queen, not just her fighting style, her history, her psychology, her fears and weaknesses. If I am going to survive 24 hours in a cage with her, I need to know who she really is." Director nodded slowly. "We will get you everything we have." Good walked out of the room. Behind her, she heard the committee members start talking again, their voices a mixture of fear and desperate hope. She did not look back. She had work to do. The next 6 days would determine the fate of humanity, and she intended to spend every moment of them preparing. She would memorize every pattern, study every weakness, and plan for every possible scenario. And when she finally stepped into that arena, she would show the Queen something she had never seen before. A human who refused to play by the rules. The arena on Prime was built inside an ancient mountain. The mountain had been hollowed out over thousands of years, carved into a massive amphitheater that could hold 3 million spectators. Seats rose in endless tiers toward a ceiling so high it disappeared into shadow. Lights floated in the air like artificial stars, illuminating the sand-covered floor where champions had fought and died for 10,000 cycles. Stood in the preparation chamber beneath the arena, she could hear the crowd above her, millions of voices creating a sound like thunder that never stopped. The walls shook with it. The floor vibrated beneath her feet. She had not slept in 6 days. Her eyes were red and tired. Her body ached from endless hours of training, but her mind was sharp, sharper than it had ever been. She wore simple clothes, black athletic pants, a white t-shirt, running shoes. She carried no weapons, no armor, nothing that could slow her down. The officials had scanned her 3 times to make sure she was not hiding anything. Director stood beside her. He looked even more tired than she did. "The whole world is watching," he said quietly. 12 billion people on Earth, another 50 billion across the galaxy. This is the most watched event in human history. Nodded. She did not care about the viewers. She cared about one thing: the patterns she had memorized, the plans she had made, the thousands of small details that would keep her alive for the next 24 hours. "The Queen is already in the arena," Director continued. "She has been there for an hour, waiting. She is trying to intimidate me," said. "Make me nervous, make me think too much." "Is it working?" Smiled slightly. "I stopped thinking 3 days ago. My body knows what to do. My mind just needs to stay out of the way." A bell rang somewhere above them. The sound cut through the crowd noise like a knife. The match was about to begin. Director put his hand on shoulder. "Whatever happens up there, you have already given us hope. You have shown us that we do not have to accept defeat. That means something." Looked at him. "I am not doing this for hope," she said. "I am doing this because I hate losing, and I refuse to let some alien bully turn my planet into a slave colony." She walked toward the ramp that led to the arena floor. The noise grew louder with each step. When she emerged into the light, the sound hit her like a physical force. 3 million aliens screamed and howled and stamped their feet. Most of them were, their obsidian skin and 4 arms making them look like demons from ancient nightmares. But there were other species too. Creatures with scales, with feathers, with bodies that made no biological sense. All of them had come to watch a human die. The arena floor was covered in fine white sand. It stretched for hundreds of meters in every direction, a killing ground designed to give fighters no place to hide. At the center, sitting on a raised platform, was Queen. She was even more terrifying in person. 9 feet of muscle and power, her 4 arms resting casually on the arms of her throne. Her eyes glowed purple in the arena lights. Her ceremonial robe was gone, replaced by simple fighting clothes similar to's. She did not need armor. Her skin was harder than steel. As walked across the sand, the Queen stood. The crowd fell silent. 3 million beings held their breath. "This is your final champion," voice echoed through the arena, amplified by hidden speakers. This child, this insect, did not respond. She kept walking, her eyes fixed on the Queen. I have fought warriors from 100 species, continued. I have killed generals, heroes, legends, and Earth sends me this, she gestured at with two of her arms. A female barely past childhood, weighing less than one of my arms. The crowd laughed. The sound rolled through the arena like waves crashing on rocks. Stopped 10 meters from the queen. She looked up at the massive alien and said nothing. Her face was calm, empty, a mask hiding everything beneath. Do you have nothing to say? Demanded. No final words, no desperate pleas. I am 23, said quietly, not a child. The queen's eyes narrowed. 23 cycles. On my world, that is barely past infancy. You should be playing with toys, not standing in an arena. I do play with toys, said, but my toys have keyboards and screens, and I have used them to defeat opponents who thought they were invincible. Laughed. It was a cold sound without any real humor. You compare me to opponents in your primitive games. I am queen of the empire. I have ruled for 300 cycles. I have crushed rebellions, conquered worlds, destroyed fleets. You are nothing. Maybe, rolled her shoulders, loosening muscles that had grown tight during the journey. But nothing is harder to predict than random noise, and I am very good at being random. The queen's 4 eyes studied her carefully. For the first time, there was something other than contempt in her expression. Curiosity, perhaps, or suspicion. You speak strangely for a condemned creature, said. Most beings who face me are terrified. They tremble, they beg, but you stand there as if you believe you have a chance. I do have a chance, said. A small one, but small chances are the only kind I have ever had, and I have learned to make them enough. The queen was silent for a moment. Then she descended from her platform, landing on the sand with a soft thud that felt through her feet. Standing at her full height, she towered over like a mountain over a mouse. The rules of the right of dominion are absolute, announced, her voice carrying to every corner of the arena. No weapons larger than the body, no external assistance, no forfeiture. Combat ends with death or complete incapacitation. Do you understand these rules? Yes. Do you accept them? Yes. Then let us begin. Raised her 4 arms, her hands curling into fists. I will try to make your death quick. Consider it a mercy. Reached into her pocket, the queen tensed but only pulled out a small tablet device. Can I show you something first? Frowned. The match has begun. There is no time for delays. It will only take a moment. Pressed a button, and a hologram appeared in the air between them. It showed footage of the queen's previous fights, cut together in rapid sequence. Do you recognize these? The queen's eyes widened slightly. Where did you get this footage? Your entertainment networks are not as secure as you think. Cycled through the clips. 400 duels. I have watched all of them, some of them many times, and I have noticed some interesting things. She zoomed in on a specific moment. Here, your third shoulder drops 0.3 seconds before a right side strike. It happens every time, every single fight. The crowd murmured. The queen's expression darkened. And here, another clip. Your pupils dilate when you are about to use your lower arms. Your breathing becomes shallow when you shift from defense to offense. You favor your left side when you are tired, which usually happens around the 2-hour mark. Hands clenched. You think knowing my patterns will save you. Others have tried to study me. They all died. They studied you like warriors study warriors, said. They looked for weaknesses they could exploit in combat, but I am not a warrior. I study patterns the way a machine studies patterns. I do not care about weakness. I care about prediction. She put the tablet away. Your precognition is impressive. You can see what your opponents will do before they do it, but you do it by reading their intentions, their decisions, their thoughts. She tapped her forehead. What happens when you fight someone who does not think? The queen lunged. It was faster than anything had ever seen. 4 arms reached for her, each one capable of crushing stone. Any normal fighter would have died in that instant, but was already moving. She did not dodge left or right. She did not jump back. Her body moved sideways and forward, slipping between the Queen's arms, passing so close that she could smell the alien skin. It was a movement that made no tactical sense, a direction no sane person would choose. Which was exactly why it worked. The Queen spun, her eyes wide with surprise. Was behind her now, already moving again, her trajectory random and unpredictable. What was that? Demanded. Did not answer. She was too busy not thinking, letting her trained reflexes guide her body while her conscious mind stayed quiet. She had spent 6 days training for this. 6 days learning to move without deciding, to react without planning, to be a creature of pure instinct and probability. The Queen attacked again, and again, and again. Each strike was perfectly aimed, brutally fast, capable of ending the fight in an instant, and each time was somewhere else. Not blocking, not dodging in any conventional sense, just moving, flowing like water through the gaps in the Queen's attacks. The crowd had fallen completely silent. 3 million beings watched in disbelief as the tiny human danced around the greatest warrior in the known galaxy. "This is impossible," growled. "No one moves like this. No one fights like this." Finally spoke, her voice slightly breathless. "I told you, I am not fighting. I am playing a game, and in this game the only way to win is to survive." She smiled at the Queen, and for the first time there was fear in its ancient eyes. 24 hours to go," said. "I hope you are comfortable." The real match had just begun. The first hour was the hardest. Queen attacked with everything she had. Her forearms became a blur of motion, striking from angles that should have been impossible to avoid. She was faster than any creature had ever seen, stronger than machines, more precise than computers. Her precognitive abilities let her see every possible future, every potential movement her opponent might make. But was not making decisions. Her body moved on its own, guided by thousands of hours of training and a mind that had learned to stay silent. She did not think about where to go. She did not plan her next step. She simply moved, letting probability and instinct choose her path. It was not perfect. 10 minutes into the fight, one of the Queen's fists grazed shoulder. The impact spun her around and sent pain shooting down her arm. 20 minutes later, a kick caught her in the ribs. She felt something crack. The pain was enormous, but she kept moving, kept flowing, kept refusing to die. "You are bleeding," observed. Her voice was calm, but there was frustration beneath it. "Your bones are breaking. How long do you think you can last?" Did not answer. She needed all her breath for movement, all her focus for not thinking. But she remembered something director had told her during her preparation, something from the Queen's history. "Your daughter," gasped between movements. "What was her name?" The Queen's rhythm faltered. Just for a moment, just a fraction of a second, but saw it. "What did you say?" "Your daughter, the one who challenged you for the throne, 60 cycles ago," ducked under a sweeping arm. "You exiled her to the rim worlds, cut off all contact, erased her from official records." Attacks became faster, more violent, less controlled. "How do you know about that?" "I told you, I studied everything about you. Not just your fighting, your life, your fears, your regrets." The Queen roared and charged. It was the first time she had lost her composure, the first time her attacks were driven by emotion rather than calculation. Used the moment to put distance between them, buying precious seconds to catch her breath. "You do not know anything about my daughter," snarled. "You do not know anything about me." "I know you loved her," said. "I know she was the only person who ever matched you in combat. And I know that when she challenged you, you could not bring yourself to kill her, so you sent her away instead." The crowd was muttering now. This was not the kind of fight they had expected. This was not combat. This was something else entirely. "You are trying to make me angry," said. Her voice had regained some of its control, but her eyes still burned. You think if I lose my temper, I will make mistakes. Yes, saw no reason to lie. It will not work. It already did, pointed at the arena's timer projected on massive screens around the stadium. 1 hour and 17 minutes. That is longer than most of your fights last, and you have not touched me since you got angry. The queen looked at the timer, her jaw tightened. You are playing games with me, she said quietly. I told you from the beginning, games are what I do. The second hour was worse. Had regained her focus. She no longer attacked with blind rage. Instead, she became methodical, patient, cutting off escape routes and forcing her into smaller and smaller spaces. The arena that had seemed so vast now felt like a cage that was slowly shrinking. His body was failing. Her cracked ribs sent pain through her with every breath. Her shoulder throbbed where the queen's fist had grazed it. Bruises were forming everywhere, purple and black marks spreading across her skin like a map of her suffering. But she kept moving. In her head, she heard the voice of her old coach, a retired esports champion who had taken her under his wing when she was 17. Tournaments are not won by the best player, he had told her. They are won by the player who refuses to lose. Skill matters, strategy matters, but willpower matters most of all. At the 2-hour mark, the queen drew blood. A claw caught his arm, opening a cut that immediately began to pour red onto the white sand. The crowd cheered. They could smell victory. You are slowing down, said. Your random movements are becoming less random. Your body is tired. Your mind is starting to make decisions again. I can see them now. Small thoughts, small plans, they shine like lights in the darkness. Gritted her teeth. The queen was right. It was getting harder to stay in that empty mental state. Pain and exhaustion were forcing her brain back into consciousness, back into the decision-making patterns that could read. She needed to change tactics. Your empire is fracturing, said. She made her voice casual as if she was discussing the weather. The outer colonies are restless. They have been for decades. 3 of your governors are planning rebellion. Did you know that? His eyes narrowed. More lies, more attempts at distraction. Not lies. Your intelligence networks intercepted communications 6 cycles ago. Messages between governor of the 7th sector and 2 others. They are waiting for a sign of weakness. Something that will prove you can be challenged. The queen stopped moving. How could you possibly know about classified intelligence reports? Your networks are not as secure as you think. Took the moment to breathe, to rest, to let her body recover. I had 6 days to prepare for this fight. Do you think I spent all of them studying your combat footage? She watched process this information. The queen was not stupid. She knew might be lying, might be bluffing, might be using a standard psychological warfare technique. But she also knew that the specific details mentioned were not the kind of thing someone could guess. If you survive this fight, said slowly, the information you have stolen will make you a target for the rest of your short life. If I survive this fight, I will have bigger things to worry about. Smiled despite the pain. But thank you for saying if instead of when. That is the first time you have admitted I might win. The queen attacked again, but she was thinking now, distracted, wondering what else new and what it might mean for her empire. Her movements were still deadly, still impossibly fast, but there was hesitation in them. Doubt. Used every moment of that doubt. She danced and dodged and survived minute by minute, hour by hour. The sun outside the arena moved across the sky, casting different shadows through the vast windows near the ceiling. The crowd grew restless, then confused, then strangely invested. They had come to watch a slaughter. Instead, they were watching something unprecedented. By the 5th hour, could barely stand. Her arm was still bleeding. 3 of her ribs were definitely broken now. One of her eyes had swollen half shut from a blow she had not quite avoided, but she was still moving. Why do you keep fighting? Demanded. Her own breathing had become heavier. She was not tired in the way was tired, but even her endurance had limits. You cannot win. You must know this. Even if you survive, your world gains nothing but a temporary reprieve. Temporary is better than nothing, said. And you are wrong about something. This is not about winning or losing, not for me. Then what is it about? Stopped moving. It was a risk, a terrible risk, but she needed to hear this. She needed the Queen to understand. Where I come from, there is a type of story we call HFY. Humanity, something something, yeah. They are stories about humans facing impossible odds. Aliens, monsters, gods, things bigger and stronger and smarter than us. And in these stories, humans win. Not because we are the best, not because we are the strongest, but because we refuse to give up. She straightened as much as her broken body would allow. You have conquered 100 species. You have crushed warriors from across the galaxy, but you have never faced something like us. You have never faced a species that would rather die than surrender. That will fight with words when fists fail, and with tricks when words fail, and with pure stubborn spite when everything else is gone. The Queen stared at her. I'm not going to beat you, continued. I know that. I knew it from the beginning. But I am going to make you work for every second. I am going to make this the longest, hardest, most frustrating fight of your entire life. And when it is over, whether I am alive or dead, you are going to remember me. You are going to remember that a tiny human girl from a backwater planet made the great Queen struggle. She raised her fists, ignoring the pain that shot through her arms. So come on, Your Majesty. We still have 19 hours to go. Let us see which one of us breaks first. The Queen was silent for a long moment. Then, incredibly, she laughed. It was not a mocking laugh this time. It was something else. Something that almost sounded like respect. Very well, little human, said. Let us continue your lesson in futility. But know this. When dawn comes and you are broken at my feet, I will remember your words, and I will make your death quick as a tribute to your courage. Smiled with bloody teeth. I would not count on that just yet. The dance continued. 23 hours and 41 minutes. The arena was silent. 3 million spectators sat frozen in their seats, unable to believe what they were seeing. The holographic broadcasts had spread across the galaxy. Billions upon billions of beings watched as a broken human girl continued to move, continued to dodge, continued to survive. Could no longer see out of her left eye. It had swollen completely shut hours ago. Her right arm hung useless at her side, dislocated at the shoulder. Blood covered her clothes, her face, the sand beneath her feet. Every breath was agony. Every step was torture. But she was still standing. Queen circled her slowly. The alien queen was breathing hard now. Not from exhaustion, not the way was exhausted, but from something else. Frustration, confusion, and perhaps underneath it all, fear. This is impossible, said. Her voice was hoarse from hours of fighting. No creature can endure this much damage and keep moving. Your organs should have failed. Your heart should have stopped. You should be dead. Should agreed. Her voice was barely a whisper. But I am not. How are you still fighting? Almost laughed, but laughing hurt too much. Do you know what separates humans from most other species? We are not the strongest, not the fastest, but we evolved on a planet that tried to kill us every single day. Predators, diseases, natural disasters, everything wanted us dead. She stumbled but caught herself. We survived because we learned to endure. We can run for hours when other animals collapse from exhaustion. We can survive injuries that would kill creatures twice our size. We can keep going long after our bodies should have given up. She looked at with her one good eye. You called me weak. You called my species soft, but you were wrong. We are the most stubborn creatures in the known universe, and I am the most stubborn human I know. The timer on the arena screens showed 23 hours and 52 minutes. 8 minutes left. Looked at the timer. Something changed in her expression. The frustration faded, replaced by a cold determination. You think you have won, she said quietly. You think you can outlast me, but the rules say nothing about me holding back. She moved faster than she had moved all night. Her four arms became a blur, attacking from every direction at once. Tried to dodge, tried to dance away, but her broken body would not obey. A fist caught her in the chest. She flew backward and hit the sand hard enough to leave a crater. Pain exploded through her. She could not breathe. She could not move. She could not think. "Get up," she told herself. The words echoed in her head, distant and faint. "Get up. You did not come this far to fail." Walked toward her. The queen's footsteps made the ground shake. "You fought well, little human, better than anyone I have ever faced, but all things end, all warriors fall." 23 hours and 55 minutes. 5 minutes left. His fingers dug into the sand. Her good arm pushed against the ground. Somehow, impossibly, she began to rise. "What are you doing?" Stopped, her eyes wide. "Stay down, the fight is over." Got to her knees. Blood poured from her mouth. Her vision was going dark at the edges, but she kept moving. "It is not over," she said. "Not yet." She stood. It took everything she had, every ounce of strength, every shred of willpower. Her legs shook, her body swayed, but she stood. 23 hours and 57 minutes. 3 minutes left. "You are insane," whispered. "You should not be able to move. You should not be able to breathe. What are you?" "Human," said. "Just human." The queen attacked again. Could not dodge this time. She did not have the strength. But she did the only thing she could. She stepped forward into the attack, so close that its arms passed around her instead of through her. They stood face to face, queen and champion, giant and girl. 2 minutes, said. "Just give me 2 more minutes." Could have killed her then. One blow, one squeeze, one twist, and it would be over. Had no defense, no escape, no tricks left to play. But the queen hesitated. "Why?" asked. "Why does it matter so much? Even if you survive, what have you accomplished? Your world gets a reprieve, a delay. I will return. We will find another way to claim your planet." "Maybe," said. "But today we will be free. Today my people will look up at the stars and know that we survived, that we did not give in, that when the greatest warrior in the galaxy came for us, we found a way to win." She smiled. It was a broken smile, bloody and weak, but it was real. Every day matters. Every moment of freedom is worth fighting for. That is what it means to be human. The timer hit 23 hours and 59 minutes. 1 minute left. Step back. She lowered her arms. She looked at the timer, then at the 3 million spectators who sat in stunned silence. "This has never happened before," she said. "In 10,000 cycles, no challenge has ever reached the time limit. No opponent has ever survived long enough. There is a first time for everything." The timer ticked down. 50 seconds, 40, 30. The crowd began to stir. Whispers spread through the arena, growing louder with each passing moment. Some of the spectators were angry. Some were confused. But many of them were looking at with something new in their eyes. Something that looked like respect. 20 seconds, 15, 10. "You know what happens when the timer reaches 0, said. "Yes," could barely hear her own voice. "The challenge is void. Earth keeps its sovereignty." "You read the rules." "I read everything." 5 seconds, 4, 3, 2, 1. A horn sounded. The timer hit 0. The words "challenge void" appeared on every screen in the arena. His legs finally gave out. She collapsed onto the sand, unable to move, unable to speak, but she was smiling. She had won. The arena erupted, not in anger, not in rage, but in something that sounded almost like celebration. The spectators were on their feet, roaring and shouting and stamping in a rhythm that shook the mountain itself. They had come to watch a human die. Instead, they had witnessed something unprecedented. Something that would be remembered for 10,000 more cycles. Queen stood over his broken body. Her 4 arms hung at her sides. Her expression was unreadable. "You cheated," she said quietly so only could hear. No, his voice was barely a whisper. I read the rules, every single one of them, and I found a way to win that no one had ever thought to try. That is a form of cheating. Maybe, but it is a human form of cheating. We call it creativity. The queen was silent for a long moment. Then, incredibly, she laughed. It was a deep sound, rich and genuine, and it carried through the arena. I have fought 400 duels, said. I have defeated the greatest warriors from 100 species, and I have never enjoyed a fight as much as this one. She extended one of her massive hands toward. You are the most irritating, infuriating, impossible creature I have ever met. Took the hand. It was warm, surprisingly gentle. The queen pulled her to her feet and held her there when her legs threatened to collapse again. Earth keeps its sovereignty, announced, her voice carrying to every corner of the arena. The human champion has survived the right of dominion. By the ancient laws of the hegemony, her world is free. The crowd cheered again. Somewhere in the stands, a group of humans, diplomats and officials who had been allowed to watch, were crying and embracing each other. What happens now? Asked. Looked at her with those four glowing eyes. There was something different in them now. Not contempt, not anger, something warmer. Now you go home, the queen said. You rest, you heal, and then when you are ready, you return. Return. I wish to understand how your species thinks, smiled, showing teeth like black diamonds. You have shown me something I thought impossible. A creature who fights without intention, who speaks without fear, who refuses to lose even when losing is certain. I want to learn more. Blinked her one good eye. Are you asking me to teach you how to play video games? I am asking you to show me what makes humans so impossibly stubborn. The queen's smile widened. And yes, perhaps some of your games as well. They sound interesting. Tried to laugh, but it hurt too much. Bring snacks, she said. I will teach you. The queen nodded. It is agreed. Medical teams rushed onto the arena floor. Human doctors and alien healers worked side by side, stabilizing his broken body. Director pushed through the crowd and knelt beside her, tears streaming down his face. You did it, he said. You actually did it. I told you. His voice was fading, consciousness slipping away. I am very good at not losing. As they carried her out of the arena, looked up at the artificial stars floating near the ceiling. Beyond them, somewhere far away, was Earth, her home, her people. They were still free, still independent, still looking up at the real stars and dreaming of possibilities. She had given them that. One stubborn girl with no weapons and no powers and no training, against the greatest warrior in the known galaxy. And she had won. Not by being stronger, not by being faster, but by being human, by refusing to give up, by finding a way to win when winning was impossible. Humanity, something, yeah. That was the lesson the galaxy would remember. The tiny creatures from the tiny world were not to be underestimated. Because when everything seemed hopeless, when all odds were against them, when defeat was absolutely certain, humans had a tendency to do something unexpected. They survived, they endured, they found a way. And they never, ever stopped fighting.